A very good morning to you and welcome to Signature Morning, even today. Well, this morning we'll be talking election and what happened in Edo State, putting the icing to the cake. My name is Godwin Sunday. I won't be doing this alone. I'll be doing it with a friend and a colleague here in the studio, in the person of Mr. Donald Ugo. You're welcome to the show, Mr. Donald.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's even get into this conversation. First, on the 24th of April 2024, we saw that it marked the commencement of a campaign and rolling out of some of the electoral manifestos by different political parties. And it ended on Thursday, the 19th of September 2024, as indicated. 8 and 12 timetables of the elections were also scheduled, and to the glory of God, the election has come and gone. For some people, they said the election was peaceful. For others, they said the election was marred with a lot of irregularities that has characterized Nigerian electoral system. People hope to see better electioneering processes, but for many people, especially observers, they were not satisfied with what played out in Edo State. But let me bring this conversation to you, Mr. Donald. What do you think, or what do you make of the general elections in Edo State as we saw on Saturday?
Yeah, first and foremost, in every contest, whether it's in politics or in sports or anywhere elsewhere, there must be winners and there must be losers. In this circumstance, the Independent National Electoral Commission is the umpire. So whoever they declare as whoever INEC declares as the winner, automatically is the winner, unless something happens otherwise, probably through the tribunals. A winner has emerged by the announcement, and there are losers. There should be, naturally, those who lose elections, especially in Nigeria, are usually bad losers. They are usually bad losers, which is unfortunate because you cannot have two governors in a state. You cannot even have all the candidates that contested for the election as governors at the same time. So one person must be the governor of Edo State. And INEC has said this is he. The APC candidates, Okpobolo, INEC declared. Where the good thing about the election is that a lot of Edo people did not lose hope in the process. They still came out in spite of the harsh weather conditions, because there were reports that there were rains in some places, and that made them not to come out very, very early for the elections. But they choose to come out, which was good.
Mr. Donald, let's look at this for many political, using the eye of political scientists to look at these things. Many political scientists looking at it from using the scientific approach to analysis of politics. They will say that a lot of factors led to PDP losing Edo State, because it was more of the clash of the titans. It was a fight between Adams Oshomole and Governor Godwin Obaseki, and for many they also allege that this fight was due to the fact that Obaseki was greedy, and so it said he fought a legacy that he met on ground, PDP legacy, by fighting Dan Obi all the way, which is like a heavyweight champion when it has to do with Edo State. Said he fought them out, and he also fought Ogbede Hihama, who also is the governor candidate that stepped down for him. That's the person of Obaseki. That was 2020. He fought also. I said he also had this fight with Wike, where he tried to fight Wike, and Wike is a political gladiator, and he prevented the obedient movement from also using the stadium and Jirak for campaign. I said the people also complained at the road that after 6 months he paid zero attention of road constructions in those states. And for many also, they also allege that the governor did not pay people that were working in College of Education staff, because they protested for close to 5 years. So these were all the pains of the Edo people. But let's look at these all allegations and factors that perhaps might have led to Obaseki, to PDP losing Edo State. Can this be said to be a tangible fact that made the party lose, or it was just the clash of the titans that eventually we saw PDP go down in this election?
The truth about election, especially in Nigeria, is that there are various interests. Within the party, you have various interest groups. But in the overall interest of the people, the votes that will elect whoever that will emerge will come from people who may not necessarily be party members. So the Edo electorate is distinct from the political machinery of the state. Those who are playing politics have their various interests. Yes, there could be intrigues, just like they showed up in Edo. There were intrigues even within the PDP, even within the APC, even with Labour, up to the time that election was up to a week to the election. The Labour Party still had a crisis. Should this be our national president, or shouldn't this be our national president? And INEC also probably compounded their problem by declaring the national president of Labour not recognized by INEC. So these are intrigues that usually come during electionary periods, But yes, the governor, the incumbency factor ought to have played a major role in an election, especially if the man in power has done or is doing what the people actually wanted him to do. Are you providing infrastructure? Are you providing security? Are you providing employment? So these are things that the people will use to judge you. So the man that is coming in, if he has a contrary opinion about how to provide these things for the people, or different views or perspective of what to do for the people, and they are in tune with that, yes, the incumbent can lose. So if you are an incumbent, this should be also a lesson to those whose elections are also coming up. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing for the people, the electorate, then you better change your style. So party intrigues apart, performance of the man in power also counts. It counts very well. It's not just in Nigeria, it is global. So if the man in power is not doing what other people are expecting to do, obviously they'll vote against you, unless you catch the power by yourself using talks, appropriate it, and run away with it according to a candidate of a previous election, which is usually not supposed to be. So the intrigues are there quite all right, but the one good thing in Edo is that since democracy came back in this dispensation, Edo has moved from PDP to opposition, even opposition within the ruling party, because the present governor Baseki left APC because of intrigues. He left APC. Unfortunately for him, he won an election in an opposition party, the PDP, and became the governor. So what made him now to change his style of governance that gave him victory is what Edo people have decided to pay him for. So it is payback time. That is the truth in politics. If you don't do well, people are monitoring you. They're monitoring you. But if you do well, no problem. I'm not saying that he doesn't have justification for certain things he can say. But just like I said earlier, bad losers are always there in politics. So if all the machineries, the apparatus used in calculating the results were used well, then if he's contesting it, well, I wish him luck.
Well, in the words of Rod Laxwell, he once said that politics is who gets worked, when and how. Then also, Professor Esko Toyo, a renowned political economist, now added and why. Now, looking at all of this definition, they said a lot of factors has characterized the Edo State election, and one of those factors is Baseki's alleged interference with highly revered Benin Obaship structure, and that no Kano, where they unbundle. It's not like Kano where they unbundle their emirate. Benin has a structure of ownership that has outlived generations. And also they said the issue of victimization, where of his former deputy or current deputy, which was reinstated, but Obaseki flunked the court order despite the court ruling reinstating Shoaib. We saw that play out in that, and also he undermined the power of Adams Oshomole's influence. So whether you like it or not, Adams Oshomole is a factor to reckon with when it has to do with Edo state politics, because of he controls about 1.2 third of Edo politics. He's a senator for Edo North, if I'm correct. And then looking at that, all of that, he controls the entire northern part of Edo. Now in the 3 territorial districts, that's like 1/3 of Edo state. So all of these factors being put in place. Do you think at this point, the theatrics of politicians, the flowery speeches, and all of this put together, do you think that all of this factor of victimization, the overshaped, did not count or worked against the current or the incumbent, the outgoing governor of Edo State?
Edo is a peculiar state when it comes to political tussle. Peculiar in the sense that the Oba is a revered person. Omonoba Edo Uku Apolopolo is a revered person, is an institution in the state. But the Oba, he's the Oba of Benin. He's not the Oba of the entire Edo state. So if the catchment area for him is Benin, that's the Oredo, Orionwo, Ovia, and maybe about 5 local government areas. They don't make up the entire about 17 local government areas in Edo State. Yes, Oshomole comes from another part of Auchi area, Auchi, Ganibode, or Sabongida Ora, those areas, Igara and all that. Yes, he can be a political king there, but if he were a king in the previous election that Oshomole came, and that Obaseki defeated him, even with the differences they had in the party, it shows that nobody is a real godfather in Edo politics. Yes, you can have arrowheads in some parties, but I don't think there is a true godfather. What played out in Edo might have been the aggression of the people about governance. Once you give bad governance, once that your governance is not good, this is the kind of result you will get. So for me, it's not because of the Oba. Yes, Oba is a voter. Probably he can say to vote, he may say not to vote. Political chiefs, traditional rulers don't usually play active role in politics. Yes, but if you try to denigrates the position of that kingship or that rulership, his subjects may respond by trying to protect their ruler. It might happen in Edo State, but the other part is also God votes in Benin, where the Oba is dominant.
Oba is predominant. Let's look at the Labour Party candidate in the person of the former MBA president, yeah. And also some things played out during the course of the election. Some people were even alleged that he has even stepped down from the election, but we didn't get an official statement to that effect. What do you think must have played out in that election? Because we saw a lot of in the results that were being displayed on the online results that we saw before the final result was collated and announced by INEC. We see Olumide Akpata was literally not having the kind of vote that we thought that the Labour Party can pull in Edo State, going with the track record that Olumide Akpata and the Labour Party has been at the forefront for the obedient movement. One should think that should count for something, but we saw an election where Olumide Akpata was almost, it became a fight of two gladiators, like I rightly said before. What do you think must have perhaps led to this? Is it that he's not a grassroots politician?
Yes, he wasn't a grassroots politician. Up till the time he contested the election, he still hasn't got to that level. But as a former NBA president, he ought to have had some clout in Edo, because at least we know that Edo has a good number of lawyers who probably might have been his loyalists while he was in NBA. However, union position is different from election, national election.
But his track record should have counted for something, because
yes,
he did fantastically well when he was the NBA chairman.
Yeah, I give it to him. He tried. He tried. I wasn't in his profession, so I wouldn't say he didn't do well. But having served out his tenure, it meant that he did well. However, for him, so I think they gave him about 22,000 votes in this election, when others were getting 140 something and 120 something. It's an abysmal performance for him, somebody of his caliber. Very abysmal. But that also means that you don't just jump into the fray simply because you want power. You know, you have to get prepared for it. I also learned that some Edo people were not happy with him because, according to some of them, he recently got married, and instead of doing his wedding in his place, he took it abroad. You know, for somebody who wants to be a grassroots person, you don't do such a thing. It's miscalculation. You know, probably he didn't marry an Edo person. He took a wedding outside or a reception outside. That means you're not close to the people. So if you're not close to the people, they also pay you. He was lucky to have gotten up to 22,000 votes or more. You know, but that was an abysmal performance. But the Labour Party used to be a balancer, the third tripod in Nigeria's election. If you had PDP, APC, and Labour, you know, as three main parties, and probably the Kwakwaso Party in Kano. If you have four, you know, it means that Nigerians have narrowed down concentration to just 4 or even say 5 parties. There was a time we had 5 parties in Nigeria, which is a good number to manage. So that your party is existing does not mean that you have to come and contest governorship election or presidential election. If you have competencies at the local level, nothing says you cannot just go for chairmanship of a council or councillors of local government. You must not put your cap in governorship election. So, but it's also good for parties, so that you learn the strength you muster for a high election must come from the lower one. So Olumide, well, you have tried it. You have tried. Maybe you may be lucky next time. Maybe you may be lucky next time. But even the two parties that were ahead, APC and PDP, you can also see that the margin is not much. The difference is not much. What it also means is that no matter what happens, whoever is sworn in, you should know that you have a Herculean task, you know, because how do you persuade those who didn't vote for you to be with you in next 4 years? Or how do you even think that after 4 years you can be re-elected? That also boils down to performance. Whoever, you know, nobody has been sworn in yet. You know, if this APC person, they has to learn a lesson. You know, just like what happened in Enugu State. Imagine in Enugu State during the last election between the PDP candidates, Governor Peter Mba, who is doing well in his states according to pundits, and the Labour Party, Chijioke Edoga, is narrow. So what it means is that if you're in power and you don't do well within the next 4 years, it means that power can shift. And you know, I mentioned earlier that PDP was in Edo, Lucky Benedum was in Edo, Osumbo was in Edo. They were PDP people. Yeah. But eventually it moved to another party because the people perceived that they were not doing what they were supposed to do. APC took over power. Incidentally, it was just Oshomole and Obaseki. And midway in the tenure of Obaseki, there was crisis within the party. Yeah, and he moved from the party and he ran an election as an incumbent and won.
Yeah.
Moved again back to PDP. Now he's going to, this is a good scenario in Nigeria, so that you're in power does not mean your party must be perpetually in office. It does not mean that. The electorate, I give them kudos for reading between the lines and being able to make choices between candidates that are serious and candidates that are unserious.
But let's talk about this electoral process in Nigeria. But then let's look at the INEC and also the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission, the way they conducted this election. Do you think that we've improved? We've moved on and advanced our course in terms of using technology to champion the course of our election right now?
Politicians will always tell you that we're in a learning process. How long do we have to learn? At least in elections, since Nigeria became independent, elections had always taken place. Since 1979, we're closer to persons that some of us know as candidates. In 79, Shagari was elected. 4 years later, he won again, even though there was the admission was torpedoed by a military coup. But election has taken place consistently for so many years. So, yes, politicians will tell that we're learning, but we cannot continue to be paupers in a process that's supposed to be fair, that's supposed to be credible, that's supposed to follow all the dictates of the process. This time around, beavers again failed in some places. Why should beavers be failing in Nigerian elections, even with all the assurances given in the previous election? Why should materials arrive late in polling stations? If we're still learning, these are basic things that should be corrected.
Even Enugu State even experienced the same thing.
Oh, every state,
was a delay.
Every state experiences that. And that is why INEC, the electoral umpire, is not also doing its work well. Because by now you ought to have stabilized what you're doing. In other countries, they use technology. Very soon now, United States will be holding its own presidential election on November 4. At present, they are asking their diaspora citizens to enroll, to fill a particular form, so you can vote from where you are residing. So if an American that is residing in Nigeria can vote in an US election, it also means because of technology, it can be done elsewhere. So if the beavers procedure is failing, then INEC should look for an alternative. I'm not saying that you should go and get foreigners to come and conduct elections for us, but if you cannot handle it and you call foreigners, if they do it once and they get it right, yes, you can outsource. You can outsource.
So invariably, you're saying that we still did not get it right.
No.
In this off-peak election, because it's an off-season election, so one would have expected that INEC should have thrown its weight behind this election, seen security men everywhere, ensure that we have right materials and right personnel at the right spot. But then, looking at your own assessment right now, you're telling us that INEC did not improve.
No.
Is there guarantee for Nigerians' future in terms of electional processes?
The thing is that you have to learn.
The learning curve seems unending right now.
Yes, it's unending, but for every disadvantage you had previously, you're not supposed to repeat the same mistake.
So when the mistake now becomes a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor, what becomes the way forward?
Then it means that they have to reorganize. They have to reorganize either through the laws. You reorganize the establishment, or even those who are within, who are conscious of the fact that the election is the let me even call it the life wire of Nigeria, because everything in Nigeria borders on politics now. Appointments, even for communities to get infrastructure, even services and all that. So politics, apart from the oil that produces in Nigeria, is the highest activity in Nigeria. So it must be. We have to get it right. If we don't get it right, then every acting in this country will toe a negative line, which will be unfortunate for us.
Early hours into the election, before the coalition began, we saw the People's Democratic Party supporters allegedly protesting over rigging, that the election was rigged. There's rigging going on. We saw that protest. At first, we felt it was a clout, but then it became like a serious conversation where election result has not been announced and we've already seen protests. Do you think at this point in time that if people have already started shouting foul before the election results are declared, do you think such a result should be upheld, and should be the court should even want to the tribunal should want to look at this, or INEC should begin to disregard result of this nature and work in-house? Before we begin to talk about, let's talk about this before we talk about the issue of even online elections.
These apprehensions about results usually come when you check the duration that between the time the election has taken place and the time the results are declared. Elections take place on Saturdays in Nigeria, for instance, like in Edo last Saturday, and the results are just coming in early today or late yesterday. So, if with technology, at the click of a button, it is transmitted, that thing should reflect in whatever system they are using to count. So, results for a small election, Edo is not too large. Even in the south, it's not the largest state in the south by population, by landmass, and they fortunately are not the riverine areas in Edo are not so many, unlike Rivers and Bayelsa and possibly Akwa Ibom. So if it have to be done by land in a particular terrain, I'm not saying that they don't have riverine areas, but they are low compared to their counterparts in the south. So this was ought to have trickled in immediately after the election. Let's even say first thing Sunday morning, if you're unable to collate everything by Saturday, because elections actually end before 4 or 5. So between 4 and 5, and between 5 and 9 to midnight, everything about collation ought to have been concluded within those specific times, so that even before dawn the next day, the results are announced. So when these things are delayed, trusting Nigerians and manipulations and all that, then there could be rejection of results.
Mr. Donald, in the various rooms in PDP monitoring room and evaluation room, we saw jubilation that they've won the election. We saw jubilation also in APC situation room that they've won the election. How did most of them get their result? Was through the social media space and the online space. We saw falsifications of results even being published. We saw people announcing, even before INEC announced the results, who the winner is. Now we saw this last in 2023 during the last election, general election. Now we're seeing the same replay. It's almost misleading within the political space. Is this the way to go for Nigerian political growth and advancement? Is this the right way to go, or we should begin to look at other ways to be able to sanction results that are declared without INEC's input into those results? And again, should party agents at this point be allowed to snap those slip and upload it? Can't we have a system where INEC can scan those results and forward it somewhere and share those copies also? Because this looks like what we use phone to snap, and it's not clear for some of us. Is this the right way to go when it has to do with our electoral process and development right now?
Globally, communication is everywhere. You cannot rule out the place of social media in election matters. Voters come to polling stations and carry their telephones, and agents are also there. They are supposed to fill forms. Even if you don't snap and you declare results, and the agents take down because they are also giving copies of the results. So the copy you have given the agent the onus lies on him to send it to his party.
But can't INEC have a system where INEC in that center, they carry a scanner, where as soon as you're done with it, they can share a PDF document with everybody, instead of allowing people to slap the discrepancies with this result. For example, I can doctor a particular result.
No. There are duplicate copies of results.
Okay.
So the original one that is authenticated by the agents, they duplicate them and give to the parties through their agents. So the question arises when excuse me, when a results are given to an agent, he has it and has tendered it to his party, and at another level, from the same ward, same polling unit, a different result is published. That is where the problem arises. And I don't even also know why original results should be mutilated. A lot of results, you find out that somebody writes 130, for instance. All of a sudden, you see him trying to amend the one.
That's where I'm even going to.
So if I were in INEC, I would insist that every original result submitted from every polling station must not have any mutilation. Anyone mutilated, obviously, there must be a mistake, because you ought to have entered it slowly and quietly in the presence of all those observers, the observers and the agents and all that. So when a result sheet is mutilated, yes, there's every reason to say that there is forgery.
So I'm asking again, is it the way to go right now? Because looking at this is going to bring a lot of chaos into the electoral system in Nigeria. It's going to throw us back to the primordial age where man cannot even give account for electoral processes. It will take us back to 5 steps behind, knowing fully well that we've said that the beavers failed. So people are trying right now to help INEC to get results uploaded one way or the other. But then this is becoming unbecoming. But then again, let's look at the social media election that seems to a lot of websites and online voting platforms seems to support electioneering processes in Nigeria. We've seen different organizations conduct different types of voting system. They say, okay, budget want to do an election between Monday and Igodalo, and they say, okay, in this online election, this one took this vote and this, but the outcome of the general election does not end that way. Then again, we've moved from elections of campaigns around policy formulations and the manifesto that centers on people-oriented development into most likely attacks on people, on the person of a person, just like we saw in the Edo State election. Do you think at this point we'll have a different perspective in Nigerian electionary processes in the nearest future?
First and foremost, if you conduct independent polls, yes, it can be near correct that a candidate is leading in polls. But then it also depends on the scientific method used to conduct the polls. You know that even political parties can also front agencies to do such polls, yeah, and say manipulate them. If an agency does that, it also means it's not giving credence to the strength of his own party. If you do an objective analysis through your polls, you should be able to determine the strength of your party. So that doesn't mean that if you do a poll and say that this candidate is going to is leading, and it turns out that he is not leading, that you should insist that your poll has been doctored. Do you understand? Yes, you can do polls. It will help you, but how objective are those polls? And which organizations are doing those polls? So the law says that it's only results released by INEC that should be recognized that are authentic. The law has not changed from that, and unless it changes, any results you are getting from any other place, you're on your own. your own. The best bet you have is that if you have every evidence that your agent submitted what they should submit to you, you can go to the tribunal or the courts. That's what the law says. Yes, elections can be turned from the courts, which also shouldn't be, because elections are the results of elections are the supposed will of the electorate. So if you are waiting for the judiciary to upturn a result, it means that the person that has the capacity to influence the judiciary, as has shown in Nigeria in a lot of circumstances, will always triumph. That means you can go just fold your arms and go and sit down and wait for the tribunal. So because you have capacity to upturn the results there. But it is not. It is unfair. It's unfair to the people. The will of the people must be paramount.
Mr. Donald, we are having this culture again in Nigeria, and it has also played out in Edo State. The issue of getting blessed by certain persons. So the blessed candidate goes home with the victory, and we've seen it play out again. The first thing, one of the first things the governor-elect of Edo State, in the person of Senator Monday Okpebolo, and his deputy. One of the first things they did as soon as they won that election, that's his deputy, that's Honorable Dennis. They arrived at the palace of the Oba of Benin, and they went to pay homage and also get further blessings as they prepare to take their journey, taking Edo State for the next couple of years. So look at this culture of blessings. Are we saying at this point that elections, the electionary process in Nigeria has any spiritual dimension right now?
To the extent that we're also spiritual people.
The anointed candidates.
Yes. Because everyone, earlier we mentioned that the stool of the Omonoban Edo is a revered stool. So anybody who wants to run a successful administration also has to defer to it, So blessings, yes, you can also get blessings from priests and pastors and imams, and Edo is a portfolio of different worshippers. A lot of people, even as the campaigns were going on, were showing traditional people doing their own magic one way or the other, even casting.
Even Oshomole was blessing.
Yes.
Oshomole was blessing. Yes. The anointed candidate.
So blessings can come. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, we're just asking.
As long as the
Nigerian election has been characterized by a lot of this. A lot of it right now.
As long
it's playing out in Edo State.
As long as you believe in it.
Is it the anointed candidate that must win?
No.
And the less anointed candidate goes home.
Anointing should first and foremost come from within the party. Once your selection process is without qualms, without alterations, without combat, or without disagreements, yes, you have the mandate of your party. That is the first place it has to come from. You remember that in this particular Edo election, a lot of people even cross-carpeted. Yeah. Even days to the election, people move from party and move to the other side. But people are moving to where they think that their nest can acquire some feather. Yeah, that is it. Because the politics, Nigerian politics, would even have take all. So when you see that your chances can be better brightened, chances of even getting positions in the administration can be brightened by endorsing a particular party. You understand, a particular candidate. Yes, you do that, but it's also a risk you're taking, because if the man loses, what it means that the camp you're coming from, if they eventually emerge, will see you as an unserious person, and that also comes to the issue of principles in politics. In other climes, if someone is for, let me use our party in Nigeria, if someone is for APC, he remains APC, just like people follow football. That your team is losing doesn't mean it cannot come up the next time, So if you continue moving from a party to the other simply because you want your interests, to be protected in an area, it means that you're not cut out for the kind of policies we want in Nigeria. And that will also, let me just quickly go back to what the lawmakers, if you win an election, for instance, in a party, through a party, raising demands that once you leave that party, then you should leave that position. So I think we should start thinking towards that. If you want to be in a party, be in that party. It's not compulsory that you must be a politician. If you want to be a politician, the party principles and policies should dictate what you do as an individual. Just like people follow football. An Arsenal player, for instance, an Arsenal fan, for instance, if the club is not doing well, he will wait, because you know that the club may come up next time. That is loyalty. But if we start getting from a party to the other, prostituting, because that is political prostitution.
Okay.
That is why I call it. But the law should be firm on such persons.
Just late last night, in the spirit of jubilation and the Edo victory, we saw congratulatory messages pour in.
Naturally.
Even from the former president of Nigeria, the President Muhammadu Buhari. He congratulated the incumbent president. And also we saw President Bola Tinubu also pour in greeting, and he said through his a special advisor on to the president on information and strategic strategy. That's in person of Bayo Onanuga, where the president said President Bola has congratulated Senator Monday Okpebolo and the All Progressive Congress in Saturday's governorship election in Edo State on his victory at the poll. The president said that the victory testifies to the people's support for the ruling party. It is progressive ideas and economic re-engineering program, according to him. He further added that the president commended INEC for conducting free and fair elections while asking those that are aggrieved to seek legal redress. Now, let's stop that quote at that point. Before you delve into this conversation, this is a good one. But then again, he said those victory signs support is a sign of support for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic development program. Now, this caught my attention. Let me allow you to throw your weight on this issue first.
Yes, I actually wanted to cut in because incidentally, some of the persons you mentioned, one in particular who used to be my boss in NAN, a very lovable person, Bayo Onanuga. He was the MD of the News of Nigeria at that time. I was there. Yes, but what do you expect from a ruling party? He cannot say otherwise. Yes, the party has won. Yes, you have to calculate that. That is loyalty. Even if that candidate was not your right hand man, the party nominated him, and he has won. And of course, the president also congratulates other people, not just APC.
The testimony that follows this one sounds very interesting.
Yes, the thing is that yes, Nigerians are also listening. They also expect that all those also the praises should also cascade to what is being done at national level. Nigerians are suffering. That is the truth. I'm saying it from a journalist. Nigerians are suffering a lot of things. The hardship is so much, everywhere. So if you are trying to allude that because Edo was successful, it also means that the presidency is working hard. Yes, you have a right to do that, but those who are watching are also watching. I would think that if what is happening at national level is used to better the lot of Nigerians, yes, they will come to terms with what they have said, and they will support your party, But if on a daily basis people are complaining, there's aggression everywhere. In hospitals, you cannot find cure at good rate in hospitals. Schools are expensive, both private and public institutions. Very, very expensive. Those in federal government colleges fees have been doubled. They say they don't pay tuition in federal establishments. You know, the federal unity colleges, let me be specific, unity colleges, they say they don't pay tuition. But the other sundry expenditure that parents pay, yeah, they battle to pay. And some go home.
Well, as we begin to pack our items, we start getting set to leave the studio right now. Let's even look at this. I don't want to go back to Bio's test because this testifies to Nigerians being happy with what APC is doing so far for the country. But then there's this state in Edo State. There is this mood right now. We're expecting that if Obaseki was that bad, as it was alleged, we should see some form of jubilation everywhere, with people taking to the streets to celebrate that perhaps a very terrible leader has left. Just like we saw in 2020 when he won that election, we saw people come out in mass to celebrate that Edo no be Lagos. We saw that people came out to celebrate. But this particular election, it looks as though it's only APC that are celebrating the victory. And even from the part of a lot of PDP governors and also stakeholders, there's no jubilation anywhere. Could this be due to the fact that there are intricacies that we don't yet know that might make the people to be laid back when it has to do with the celebration? Or because the Labour Party candidate also was not given the kind of support that the party expected, and more youths in those states are obediently oriented. Could this be a factor in general?
Well, we talked about good governance anyway. Yes, if Obaseki was doing what he should do in his state, and he feels he has been robbed, you know, people from his party are not supposed to be celebrating the election.
But people from Edo State, they vote if they at all it was voted out and the PDP was voted out. We should see some form of jubilation on the streets. We're not seeing any of that happen right now in Edo State.
No, this is issue of party interest this time around. A party has lost an election.
But in 2020, it was party that contested against another party, and Oshomole was still at the forefront of fighting.
What happened then was that I believed that the people didn't want this issue of godfatherism.
Okay.
Because everything around that election revolved around Oshomole. You know, Oshomole claimed he brought Obaseki. You know, Oshomole wanted him to run his own scripts, which he didn't want. He didn't run Oshomole's scripts, and Oshomole at a point wanted to remove him. After they didn't even want him to be an aspirant in APC. Do you understand? The governors switched. It happens on last day. Some persons may take it kindly, some others may not. In Lagos, Ambode was doing well in Lagos.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was doing well in Lagos during his time. But the powers that be didn't want him to come back. So instead of switching, because he was an incumbent, instead of switching, he decided to leave it. And that now paved way for the present governor of Lagos State to be there. You know, so those intrigues must be there. So, but the point is that if there is free and fair election, and the results are calculated based on the number of votes cast. You know, fortunately, Nigeria's scenario is at the highest number of votes. The person candidate with highest number of votes will be declared winner. Unlike in other climes where they have some other criteria, collegiates and all that. Even with the highest number of votes in a collegiate system in US, for instance, it doesn't guarantee you declared winner.
Yeah.
You know, Clinton's wife, you know, defeated Trump by over 6 million votes. But in the collegiate system, she wasn't declared winner. Trump became the president. So it doesn't happen in Nigeria. All is a simple majority. Well, even if it is one above the other, you know, simple majority. You know, well, 25%. There are other criteria. 25% of votes and all that.
That's 1/3.
So when you have met that criteria, you know, you declare winner. So whether it is 1 vote or 1 million votes that the winner used to defeat the other person, usually the losers in Nigeria don't rejoice over that.
But even at that, if we're saying the losers in this case, I'm asking again, the Labour Party candidate, Olumuyiwa Akpata, lost. And if the numbers that we got right now from the election was something to go by, that's about more than 5 million people. We should see jubilation from all quarters, on all people saying the same thing, beating the drums of celebration. But even in Edo State, we've not seen that. Could it be that the economic hardship also is a factor right now that is militating against joyous celebrations?
Let us even get back to the figures that voted in Edo State. I think Edo has about 1-something million voters, about 1.2 or 1.3 million voters. Then the results being declared are showing 249, 220 something, and 22. If you put them together, they are not up to 500 voters, showing clearly that there was also apathy. In spite of the weather condition, the rain, those who naturally defy the rain to come out and vote, to carry their umbrellas or raincoats and come and vote. But the disillusionment, their party is so enormous, so overwhelming. It also shows that the system was not working. So if people don't come out to vote, it means that I don't know whether it was fair, but we didn't hear much of that. There was fear, even though there were reports that some hoodlums invaded some stations with arms and all that. But that's left for the security agencies to deal with. But the number that voted in Edo shouldn't actually be less than half of those that had voters card came out to vote, which is a minus to our electoral system in Nigeria. So if you cannot get up to 90% of registered voters, then it means that something is still wrong with the system.
So at this point, we congratulate the incumbent governor, the incoming governor of Edo State, is going to pilot the affairs of the state for the next 4 years, and it's going to be seen through the administrative affair of Edo State. And from this table, we're saying congratulations to the good people of Edo State, and we hope to see more progressive efforts being put in place by the Edo State governor. I want to say at this point also, Mr. Donald, thank you so much for doing this with me this morning.
Yeah, thank you, and congratulations to the winner. You were in the Senate as a representative. Now we are going to executive arm. So you should do the right thing for your people.
Yeah. Well, this is how far we can go today. Don't remember to follow us on all our social media handle and let the conversations keep coming in. Before I go, just remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. From all of us here in the studio, it's bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.